What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. The podcast being the 3 C's with Ginge, and those 3 C's being coffee and content creation. I am Scaredy Ginge, or Shannon, as you may call me, and I am here with my co-host, Mr. Josh.
I like co-host.
Co-host. My husband.
I'm a coast.
He's a coast. Yeah. So by now, our podcast is actually up on YouTube, and we've been getting some awesome feedback, and it has been incredible. We are hoping here soon to get it up on Spotify, and I just want to say first, before we get into anything, thank you to everybody who has been supporting this, because it has been incredible. We knew some people were going to like it, but I guess I just didn't quite expect as many people to just be so awesome and receptive of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback and a lot of almost instantaneous feedback, which, kind of going over everything we've covered already, you're not always going to get instantaneous feedback. Sometimes you have to put something out there and it has to sit for a while, especially you YouTubers out there and stuff like that. It's not very often you're going to get a video is going to explode right away or go trending or viral or anything like that. Sometimes it takes a little while.
We're not saying that this is trending or viral or anything in that sorts, but, coming out of my comfort zone, especially from streaming, because that's where I am comfortable, and coming into something where I'm giving a little bit more of myself and really putting my opinions and thoughts out there. I just thank you guys so much for really just being so awesome with it and giving us constructive feedback and, wanting more from us.
Absolutely. And it's a perfect example of converting your audience. I know it's a point I've talked to before, and that's not the point of today's podcast, but just use this as an example of a lesson I've tried to teach before, that when you have a loyal fan base and then you try something new or you want to convert over to something else, you can see some pretty good results a lot of times because you have those loyal fan base that will follow you basically wherever you go. Yeah. Or the feedback they give you, even if they don't like it, you can trust a whole lot more because they're not trying to talk you out of anything or talk you into something. They're going to give you true, honest feedback. Yep. And again, this has been really highly receptive. I'm really interested to see how far this can go and really what else it can turn into, because even just the quick Google searches at the time of this podcast being recorded, there's not many people out there just talking how to build this kind of stuff. Maybe in different versions and stuff like that, maybe in the business world and stuff like that. But as far as directly content creation, somebody else really doing it right now. No. So hopefully maybe we're the tip of the spear in some ways. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, with that being said, firstly, what coffee are we drinking today?
This is peppermint mocha.
From Dunkin' Donuts,
From Dunkin' Donuts.
The Dunkin' Donuts.
No, this is not Dunkin' Donuts. This is the Starbucks.
Oh, you did the Starbucks today?
Yes.
Oh, well, we just finally got some of the Dunkin' Donuts ground coffee for it, so that's exciting. So we'll have that tomorrow maybe, I guess. But today is Starbucks.
Josh is the peppermint as white girls are to
pumpkin spice.
100%.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about dead air and consistency. And the reason why we sort of chose those together is because the more consistent you are, the more comfortable you're going to be, and the less dead air is really going to be an issue. And so what I mean about dead air is essentially when you're sitting there and nobody's chatting, or maybe they are chatting, but you're just not talking. Unfortunately, that can be the death of a streamer and any content creator. When somebody's watching you stream, they're there because they like you. They like your content. They like you as a streamer. They like your personality. They like whatever it is that, is drawing them to you. And so when you're quiet and, you're not telling, especially if you're not playing a game that is super intense, it kind of just, why are they there? Why are they going to watch you when they can go to the next person who is, kind of hanging out with their community and, having a ball and everything and, communicating with them, instead of watching somebody who's just open mouth streaming, without talking.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it necessarily could be death of a streamer, because hopefully you as a streamer aren't doing that consistently. What she's talking about is if that's just kind of how you are on stream, you just sit there and don't talk. You got to be careful of that. That's not, that's not really content. That's not anything. That's just someone looking at you while you're looking at a game kind of deal.
Nobody wants to do that.
That's absolutely nothing.
And we've talked about it before too.
Right. Now, that's not to say there might be times in your stream where it's like lulled kind of like that. Not LUL, but like when it's just kind of died down and stuff, or you're getting tired. That happens all the time. Like, don't think that is going to be the death of your career or anything like that. I mean, it might bring the stream down a little bit, might kill the vibe a little bit and stuff like that, but that is going to happen. So don't think you're like, this is the end of everything.
And I think one thing, as you consistently get used to streaming and you're consistent with it, whatever that consistency is for you, and, you learn how to fill that dead air, the more people are going to come to your stream. It can be literally as simple as talking about your gameplay. I do that all the time. I'll make fun of myself playing because sometimes some of the things that I do when I'm gaming are hilarious. And that's just that, But people like that kind of stuff. You're giving commentary. You're talking about what it is that you're doing. But at the same time, obviously, if you're, playing something that's super, say you're playing like Apex or something, and, for however long you're in the little skirmish or whatever it is, you can't really talk to chat. You can't pay attention to chat. So it's as simple as saying, hey, for, just a few, however long, I may not be able to read chat. Now, obviously, maybe if you're like a pro at it and you can do that, then that's great. But not everybody can. You just have to communicate that with people.
I think most of the viewers on games like that understand that too. But if you're a newer viewer or newer to any of this kind of stuff, understand in more fast-paced type games, it's going to be harder for the streamer to constantly communicate. Especially if they are playing with a team and they're also talking on mic. So there's stream talk and then there's also talking to their team. Something just to very much keep in mind. But a lot of people like that, especially some of the bigger streamers, but a lot of people I've noticed are very good at, when they're lobbying or if they're not in a skirmish, they're good at like trying to glance back over the chat or kind of explain what's going on. That's something I want to talk about. When Twitch was still new, one of my buddies back in the days, his name was Dan. He used to stream Hearthstone, and he didn't have very many viewers or anything like that. But one thing he did, which made him, in my opinion, a really, really awesome streamer, had he stuck with it, I think he actually would have been very popular. Hearthstone is a virtual like trading card game. And what he would do when he was streaming, even whether he had 1 viewer, no viewers, 100 viewers, whatever, he would just talk out loud his strategy and what he was thinking. And that's what helped fill in that blank space and that quote-unquote dead air, stuff like that. So that's a great tip for if it's something you're experiencing a lot. Just talk out loud what's kind of going through your head. And you can do that in almost any style of game. Whether it's a game like chess or down to a shooter. The best you can, just talk out loud what's going through your head, and that's going to help fill that space. And then also, people that might be lurking and not actually talking, at least they can you can get them on the same page because you're explaining, hey, your thought process, where things are going, stuff like that. That's a very powerful tool.
One game that I do that a lot with is Skyrim, because every now and again, if I'm fighting a dragon or something like that, I can't necessarily watch chat to see what people are saying to me. So a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll talk about either how the dragon is kicking my butt or, things like, what potion I'm going to use or what food I'm going to use, or I'm just screaming because I'm scared and I'm anxious and I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what I'm going to do and I'm probably going to die, but you have to give a reason to people to keep on watching you, If you're just sitting there playing a video game, they can go do the same thing playing the video game themselves. So what are you bringing to them to make them want to watch you while you're playing a video game that they obviously love since they're watching it?
So the flip side of that, I just kind of realized this. When you talk through your thought process, you are doing basically one of two things. You are either educating your audience or you will be learning from your audience.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking through stuff, if someone knows a more efficient way or better way to do things or an idea you have just may not work, more than likely you're going to have someone in your chat that's going to pop up and be like, hey, Shannon, that is not going to work. That is not even a thing in this game, but that's a very great thing, because again, you're now engaging with your audience, which is that's what you need to do. That's what you have to be doing. So that's a learning from, but maybe someone who's newer to the game, as you're thinking through things, you could be educating them. Someone who's maybe never played this game before. A majority of Scary Ginge's audience are mid to some high level players in RuneScape, but there's also a lot of returning players and new players, which is great, because then we get a lot of interaction. We get a lot of like, hey, tell me about this game and stuff like that.
We actually just had somebody in stream today deployed to Afghanistan, brand new to the game, like, hey, okay, I like, what makes you want to play this game? And so right there, that gives me something to talk about for quite a bit, And
it's a conversation piece. It's not like you're just, just talking, everyone else can chime in as well.
Yep.
So that's a great way to create some engagement. Because realizing, yes, you're putting out content for people's entertainment, but something like Twitch, people want to feel more involved. And the more you can get someone to feel like they're involved in your gameplay without necessarily controlling it, but that's a great way to just get them involved, especially some of these more like RPG games and stuff like that. Go through and explain to them your character builds or your thought processes or stuff like that. I think some of the greatest things you do, again, depending on the game, is when you start new characters, have your audience like have them tell you how to build it, stuff like that. Going back to Skyrim, Scary always just meleeed everything, because that is what she does. She will play shooter games and only melee people.
I will take a knife and stab people and still die, but that's
kind of ridiculous. But one of the playthroughs, we decided to do exactly that. We let the audience choose. Said, hey, you guys vote on what she has to build, and you had to do what, like some archer or some range person.
Yep.
And you just were so not looking forward to it. And then about probably an hour or so into the gameplay of having to do like range style stuff, you loved it.
It turned out that I'm actually better at that than I am at melee. I am so good at it, But kind of tying into the consistency aspect of it, the more you are consistent with your streaming and the way that you talk with your community, the better your community is going to be at helping you kind of maintain full air, instead of that dead air. Because the thing is, when there is nobody talking, it is hard to maintain kind of continuing to talk, because even with me, there are days, yes, where I don't have many viewers, and I can have 30 to 40 people sitting in there and not many people chatting, because sometimes, especially I can tell you certain times a day, people are eating lunch, so they're just lurking or whatever it is. But the more you are able to get them to talk to you, the easier it'll be for you. And then the easier it'll be when there aren't many people chatting for you to help strike up conversations. A simple, hey, how's everybody's day going? Or, hey, what are you working on in game? Or, hey, what'd you have for lunch today? Like, those little tiny questions can start conversations for hours. You know what I mean? And then once that kind of flow happens, it's crazy what things can turn into. Like today I asked what people were doing, and then I have this guy who comes in who like gives me little quizzes just for fun, and I got a lot of them right today. But so like we just kind of flowed from that into that, and then we kind of flowed into some like riddles and stuff, like little things like that. It's so much fun to get your community, communicating with each other, because at the end of the day, they all spend a ton of time together. You stream for 6 hours and you have the same 30, 40 people sitting in there with you, or 10 or 3. They're going to get to know each other. And then literally it's not that much up to you anymore to keep conversation going, because they're there doing it for you for the most part. So
yeah, you get the ball rolling, and everybody else, and everything just kind of happens naturally. Yep. It's not that anyone else is doing it for you. It's just that becomes a very just natural state of things as people in your chat, in your community, your loyal fan base, as they start to come up together, as you're coming up through your streaming experience and stuff like that, and just getting better. People that stick around, they become friends themselves. So. Absolutely. It doesn't take much to get a conversation started. It really, I promise you guys, it doesn't.
Not at all.
And it doesn't, and we're not talking because there's, 60, 70, 80 people.
No.
It doesn't, even if you only have one or two, sometimes it's easier having conversation with one or two. I mean, how many times have you been in chat that, chat's flowing pretty good, sometimes it's hard to keep up with, but you look away for a minute because you have to do something in the game, and then you turn back to the chat, and it's just like
it's gone.
Everything is gone, and then you'll get the people like, oh, you didn't say hi to me, you didn't say hi to me,
and I'm like, I didn't. It's not on purpose.
Right. So that's a wonderful problem to have in a sense, realistically.
It is,
but when you have smaller numbers, you can give so much more focus to these people. And I bet you a lot of times the people, when you have lower viewage, it's probably people that don't know much about the game or newer to the game. It's a great chance for you to educate. I promise, and that's going to be a great way to start building some of those loyal fans too.
And then another thing with that, it's, I see a lot of people that don't have viewers not talking. And that is one thing that if you were to talk to any partner on Twitch, they will tell you that is not the way to go about things. Just because it looks like you have no viewers doesn't mean you don't have any viewers. A lot of times viewage numbers can be horrifically bad on Twitch. There are times where I can go from having 60 viewers to having 5. And I know that that's not correct. And so honestly, the way that I look at it, you shouldn't really have the viewage on. You can take a look every once in a while if you want, but don't count on those numbers, really. If you hear a little bit of noise in a moment, the chinchilla is about to throw some things, so. But, just because that number says 0 does not mean that there's 0 people in there. Still talk like there are people there, because there probably are,
Yeah, that's a good point. So, you know me, I'm the guy that's always going to come here and tell you to stop worrying about the numbers. And that is because, what she means by it, the numbers, or the views being horrific, is sometimes it's broken. Sometimes literally that number is not displaying a correct number. So if you're focused on the numbers, which don't do, but if for whatever reason you are, and you're just not listening to me because you don't think I know anything, then you're not even catering potentially to the people that could be there. Yep. Just the other day, one of our new streamers within our community that we're trying to help get affiliate, Shannon and I both were tuned in and everything like that, nothing muted, everything in, and it didn't show me
as being a viewer.
And I was talking in chat, I was typing in chat. It would not show me as a viewer for whatever reason. So again, just another reason why that whole view count, all those numbers, it's synthetic. It's BS.
Yep.
Stop focusing on it.
Stop it. And that's something, honestly, once I stopped focusing on my numbers, again, there's been a few things that have really helped my streaming career. And that is, and one of the main ones being when I stopped focusing on my viewage and I simply just started having fun with streaming, things started to really take off for me, And it's hard sometimes, especially when, again, kind of going back to the last few episodes, when you've been doing something for so long and it feels like nothing is paying off, it can get difficult, it can get hard, it can feel like, it's just never going to get better. But take a step back. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes a while for things to take off. So the longer you stick with it, the more comfortable you get with it, and you stop putting all of your effort into getting the views and you simply just start being yourself. I mean, things will take off. The views will come, So.
To give kind of a couple different, I'm big on trying to give analogies and metaphors, but, if you're someone who's trying to get into shape or get into better shape, one gym session isn't going to put you there,
Might feel like it will.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, not even necessarily 2 months may really put you there. If you're not, if that's an analogy maybe you can't relate with, if you're studying something, you're not just going to read something normally. You're not going to read something once and just have it down, verbatim.
Yep.
It takes time and practice. So staying consistent and practicing patience is a huge key to success, if not the majority of the formula.
Yep.
If you keep showing up, people will keep showing up. Being patient, and then trying to give them the best content that you can create. We're not saying you need to model our exact formula, and I've talked about this before. When you don't know what to do, model after someone that has done, but you'll eventually find your own beat to your drum, basically. But it's patience and consistent work. And then dead space eventually, or dead air, won't even be a problem.
And that's the thing. It's all about being comfortable. Once you start to get into that groove and you know what you're doing, you're going to look back on some of these issues that you're having and probably laugh about it and be like, why did I even worry about this so much? because you cared about it. It was something that you wanted to do. There's nothing wrong with worrying about things that aren't working the way that they're supposed to in your mind. But stop giving it all of your power, because that's what's going to keep you from moving forward, you know? Sit there, have fun with it. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about your day. Talk about work. Talk about, you know, maybe you went hiking this past weekend. Talk about that, you know? There's always things to fill up that air. But just remember, you are basically the star of the show. Everybody can watch, you know, gameplay anytime, you know? So if you're streaming something, make people want to watch you. And that's not saying to be somebody that you're not, but give them a reason to be there. Because at the end of the day, they don't owe you your time. We have told, you know, we say this all the time. They don't owe you their time. They don't owe you your money. They don't owe you anything of that sort. But they want to give it to you, so allow them to, but give them something in return. So.
Yeah. Eventually we'll get to the point and we can kind of end up on this note. I know it's not 100% relating, but, you know, going back to just the dead air, probably the greatest thing that happens to you at this point, you know, she has a go live screen where it's not like she just flips on her camera and starts. She has a go live screen that she has on, you know 5 minutes tops kind of deal.
Well, 10 minutes is my tops, but we go 5 to 10.
A lot of times, but, you know, she has a go live screen, you know, and there's nothing greater than clicking go live. And then, I'm not talking about numbers here, but looking down and seeing that you hit go live and 2 minutes ago and you're up to 30, 40, 50 viewers already.
Yep.
You're not even on screen yet.
Yeah.
And then you're not even worried about that because people are literally already talking.
Yep.
So,
and there's always the person that's like, oh, you're a minute late. I've been waiting here for, you know, however long. And it's like, I'm sorry.
I mean, we turn that into a game at this point too. You know, basically we try to see who's going to be first in chat and all that kind of stuff. So again, that all comes organically with time because you practiced patience and you stayed consistent.
Yep. So at the end of the day, just remember, if this is what you want to do and this is your dream and you're doing things, you know, from the good of your heart and everything will work out eventually. You just have to give it time. You can't expect things to happen overnight. You know, some people, it happens for them. Things go viral. All of a sudden, everybody is, you know, super famous or whatever it is. But, you know, how often does that really happen? You know, so like Josh says, be consistent, have fun, and just know that you have a support system, whether that is everybody that's watching you or, you know, if you create YouTube videos and everything. At the end of the day, we're all here for you. Just keep up the great work. And, you know, everything is good from here. Anyway, so I think that's going to do it for us today. I really hoped you liked this episode. Please give us some feedback down below and let us know what else you would like to hear. Let us know if there is anything else specifically that you would like us to cover. I've been getting that already, and we'd love to hear that because while, yes, we have a lot of ideas, you know, sometimes it's hard to come up with new ones. And if you did like this, please give us a thumbs up and remember to hit that subscribe button and that little bell notification. And, you know, I guess we will see you next time. So have a wonderful day. Bye.